Welcome back, students. So, I'll be starting with your sixth module of recruitment selection, that is testing, reference checking, and appointment orders. And in today's session, especially, we'll start with what is test, what are employment tests, why they're important, what are the characteristics of a test, what are the different types of employment tests available out there, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of using these tests. So, we all know we all have gone through different types of tests in our lives. And coming to employment test, organizations these days they have this practice of conducting oral or written test for job applicants before hiring them. So these are called employment tests, and these tests are conducted to check how competent these individuals are and how much suitable they will be for the job as well as organization. So the basic idea here is if the test score and the job performance could be correlated, then higher the scores, that means they'll be better in their job performance. So with this basic idea, tests are curated. So there are different tests conducted for different levels in the organization as well as the nature of the job. So a test can be defined as a standard series of questions or that consist of problems. So which will help you assess a person's knowledge, skills and abilities or any other characteristics which is pertaining to the respective job. So these tests are a very good method of determining suitability of employee to the job as well as organization. It will save you time and money later on. But however, this is not the only means, or it should not become the only criteria to accept or hire or reject someone in the organization. So there are certain characteristics or certain things a test must hold true for. One, a test must be valid, that is, it must be able to evaluate what it promises to, and it should be consistent and reliable. That is, no matter who takes the test, it should be able to evaluate the same aspects of the individual, and it should be easy to evaluate and score the test. It should not be confusing, and the test should be clear to even the person who's undertaking it. They must know what exactly is asked and what exactly is being evaluated. And test should be cost effective. It should not incur much cost to the organization just to curate the test or evaluating them. And tests must not be discriminatory. That means the difficulty level should be moderate. It should not be too easy to few people. It should not be too difficult for others. So the difficulty level should be moderate and uniform for everyone. So the purpose of conducting such tests. So tests are basically conducted in order to examine their cases, so knowledge, skill and ability of the applicant or individual. Now in organization, each test is conducted for different purpose, sometimes to test their ability. There are different ability tests, we'll get into that later. Sometimes to test their aptitude or their personality. So the purpose is different and so is the test type. So we'll get into one by one. So ability test, these measure the person's current skill set or current level of cases which are required to complete the job. So if a person is not possessing these skills or ability to meet the demand of the job, they can be trained later on. So these tests are basically designed in-house, and they can be paper based also, or it can be system based. So whatever task they'll be performing on the job, so based on that they will be asked to demonstrate certain skill. So ability tests are basically skill tests. So the next one is aptitude test. So here, rather than testing their current or past experience, their potential to do the job or potential to understand things, their competence is evaluated here. So the factors such as verbal reasoning, mental ability, or any other specific criteria which is pertaining to their role on the job, that will be tested here. So usually competencies are tested in aptitude test. And the next one is trainability test. So in trainability test, what happens is they will measure the person's potential to be trained in future. So what happens here is candidate will be given certain instruction and he'll be asked to do the task which he has never performed earlier based on only those instruction. So they'll check the performance of the candidate. So based on given instruction, how well they can perform. So this will tell them, if trained, how well they can perform later on the job. And the next one is personality test. So personality tests are very tricky, very expensive, and most controversial type because there is no one personality trait which can be considered better than the others, and but they are widely used because it will help you understand how much suitable this candidate will be to the organization, or you can say the job itself. But what happens is, like I said, they're very tricky, and if people keep taking these tests often or again and again, so they can understand. So if they take this answer, their personality type will be shown as this, and they will somehow understand the type of answer they should give in order to gain highest marks. So personality tests can be dangerous also. Sometimes people can fake personality, which is pretty easy these days, isn't it? Then we have work sample test. So what happens here is, it's like your in basket technique or in tray exercise. So candidates are given certain situations or certain tasks from their on the job duty, what it will be in future. So people will be asked to read those instructions and carry out those tasks just they as they would on the job. So this is called work sample test. They will see the efficiency of the person here and how good they are at decision making. So now we'll get into these tests in detail. So coming to the first one, that is ability test. We saw that their ability tests are used in order to measure the current level of skill sets or current level of ability to perform the given job. Now in ability there are two major types. One is aptitude and achievement. So aptitude, it will tell you the innate capacity to function, whereas achievement test will tell you how much the person has learned. So based on this, again, we have four major classes of ability. One is cognitive, psychomotor, physical, and sensory or perceptual ability. So what is cognitive ability? Cognitive ability is any thing that is related to mental capability. So it involves ability to reason, ability to plan, solve problems, or thinking. So all these abilities are related to cognitive ability. And when we talk about psychomotor abilities, so psychomotor tests are conducted to measure the you can say speed of speed, or you can say how quickly people react to something, or you can say response to stimuli. So psychomotor tests are conducted to measure that. And the next one is physical ability. Physical ability, it includes the ability of person to perform any kind of physical act. So here they measure the endurance and stamina of the person to carry out manual work. And the last one is sensory or perceptual ability. So sensory skills are those, like vision, hearing, touch, smell, taste, etc. So for certain jobs, it is mandatory or it is required that people have good sensory skills. So that time sensory tests can be taken, because these are all the what you can say peripheral things that are responsible for receiving the information. So it becomes very important that people have good sensory or perceptual skills. And the next one is clerical ability test. So in clerical ability test, it is a pen and paper test wherein the speed and accuracy of a person is being measured here. So It depends. Okay, in clerical ability test, it depends what kind of things you're evaluating. Usually, they are asked to, file things or document things, or usually to draft letters. So, take notes. So, all these things, or their computer typing. So, all these things will be tested in clerical ability test. And the next one is mechanical ability test. So here a person's aptitude for job such as mechanist or an engineer is measured. So they'll check how much mechanical comprehension they have, how much knowledge and skills they have with respect to these jobs. There are various types of tests designed to measure this. Physical ability test, like I just told earlier. So, physical ability test, they measure muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, and movement quality. So, why these tests are conducted is because, see, there are certain jobs which requires manual labor. So in order to avoid injuries, if people are not physically fit, they might get injured on the job. So in order to avoid on the job injuries, these physical tests will be conducted. So if the tests are well designed, it will be easier for you to screen out those people who are not physically so fit to do the job. So this will again save cost or money to the organization. So there are various tests for physical abilities. Weightlifting could be one. Then dynamic strength testing, static strength testing, body coordination, and stamina testing tests are available. The next type of test that is available out there is personality assessment test. So, like I said, personality assessment tests are widely used, and again, there will not be one particular type of personality assessment used for all the jobs. So, for each level, there is a different test curated, and different aspect of personality will be measured. So, the most widely used personality test is Myers-Briggs Type Indicator (MBTI). So, here each the questionnaire contains some 100 and odd questions about the personality, or about the way people interact in different situation. So based on the answer given, they will be categorized into four categories, either as an extrovert or introvert, sensing or intuitive type, thinking or feeling type, and judging on perceiving type. So again, since there are four different things and four different combination, there are in total 16 different personality types identified by MBTI. So let's try to understand what are these four categories. So the first one, extrovert versus introvert. So extroverted individuals are those who are very outgoing, very sociable, who can mingle with people easily, and they like to deal with people. They are very outdoorsy people. So these people are called extrovert people, and they are denoted by alphabet E. Introverts, on the other hand, are very shy and quiet, and they try not to mingle with people, or they prefer to be by themselves all the time, and they prefer to you know deal with different ideas or their imagination rather than hanging out with group of people. So that is introvert. And there is also another category that is called ambivert. So these are the people who are introvert at times and also extrovert at times. So it's both. It's called ambivert. So the next one is sensing versus intuitive. So sensing types are those people who are very practical, and they prefer very routine and order. That is, their every day must be very well organized, and they prefer routine. So they are very much focused about the tiniest details, and they want to deal with facts rather than assumption. So that they get the better clarity in what they are doing. So these people are denoted by the alphabet S, and they are called as sensing types. Whereas intuitive types, they rely on the gut feeling, you can say, and they look at the bigger picture. They do not follow any kind of routine or something. They are very impulsive, I can say, and They always look for new opportunities, new possibilities. So they are more future oriented intuitive types, and they are denoted by the alphabet N. Thinking types,